You have to get to know your characters. And when that's happened, it's almost as if they take over for you. Hi, I'm Jacqueline Wilson, and I'm here with Penguin to teach you the art of creating characters. I always focus on characterization more than anything else. To me, when I read a book, it's the characters. Are they real? Could I recognize them if they were suddenly brought to life and I saw them on a bus or walking along the street? I want to care about my characters. I want to show what motivates my characters. I don't just think about my characters as I'm writing my books. First thing in the morning, last thing at night, they're there in my head. And then when I write them down, hopefully they'll spring to life. Say, when I was writing the story of Tracy Beaker, I knew that Tracy had to be a feisty child, a child with a sense of humour, a sense of mischief, a difficult child, because otherwise, how would she survive in that whole care system when her mum never comes to see her? She doesn't even have a clue who her dad is. So as she doesn't have anybody to stick up for her, she sticks up for herself. So Tracy was really an easy character to write, and a fun one too, because I was reasonably well behaved as a child. Tracy is incredibly naughty. I generally start with personality first, so I know the sort of child, and therefore I know the type of name I want them to have. With Tracy Beaker, I wanted her to be called Tracy because it's a bouncy sort of name. And it took me ages to find the right surname because I had the idea for the title, The Story of Tracy, and then I couldn't think of the right surname. And I wanted it to be just a little bit quirky, but believable. I tell this story to children to make them laugh when I'm giving a talk, but in actual fact, it was true. I came across Tracy's actual surname in the bath, and I was daydreaming and sort of looking all around, and bathrooms aren't inspirational for sensible surnames. Tracy Tap, Tracy Soap, Tracy Flannel. I got on with washing my hair, and in those days I was poor, didn't have a proper shower attachment. I just kept an old Snoopy beaker at the end of the bath, and I looked at this beaker and suddenly muttered with this sort of shampoo running down my face, Tracy Beaker. Of course, I could have said Tracy Snoopy, which would have been a bit silly. Sometimes there's something at home or something in the street or there's just some tiny aspect about them that I think, maybe I'll write something about that, incorporating that in some way. When I invent my characters, I think I know all about them. But in the process of writing about them, I know it sounds silly, but they actually get a life of their own. And whereas I had sort of plotted out in my head, such and such will happen in a chapter, it's as if they look at me and say, no, I'm not going to do that. I would much sooner do this. When you write a character, particularly a really complex one, you have to really concentrate hard on the sort of person they are. You have to get to know your characters. And when that's happened, it's almost as if they take over for you. People often ask me about my writing routine. They imagine me sitting at a beautiful desk, maybe peering out to a fantastic view, having a real state-of-the-art computer. It's not like that at all. What I like to do most of all is when I get up, I will feed the cat. Luckily, my partner takes the dogs out for a walk. I might have a cup of coffee. I jump back into bed in my pajamas, have my computer and write hard until the dogs come back again. I don't mind interruptions. I might even have the television on in the background watching the news, but I am there too, concentrating hard somehow on that, so that each day I will have written 1,000 words at least. Good days, 1,500 words. And that's every single day. Frequently don't feel like it, but 5 minutes, 10 minutes into it, then I'm in my own imaginary world, and I think that's the way that I write comfortably. Other people do it entirely different ways. I would just say do it the way you like to do it. But don't just say, oh, I don't feel like it today, or the next day, or the next, because you'll never get something written. The thing that's difficult is actually the very first paragraph of the book. I always tell myself, never mind about making it a most dynamic beginning. You can have it the most boring one in the world because you can go back to it and change it. I write in the first person. So when I do that, if I am, say, being a 10-year-old girl, then automatically I am thinking like a 10-year-old girl. And I might be writing, it's not fair, mum won't let me wear these gorgeous high heels that I think are so cool. I am personally against little girls wearing high heels or anything inappropriate. But if you are that little girl, probably that's the way you will think. I saw these notebooks in a shop now. Oh, they do look nice. And I'd had this idea for the best sleepover in the world. And I knew it wasn't going to be one of my great long books. It was going to be quite short and sharp. So I gave myself the luxury of writing in them. So it's just the best sleepover in the world, and then one, and then I'm off. And I generally write on only one side of the page, and then just do a little note about anything that I want to change. Oh, I love writing this way. I think it's just because it takes me back to my childhood. So they're the actual notebooks. Then type it all up on my computer, and that does give me a chance to change things, because by the time I've got to the end of the book, I can see that one or two bits have to be twiddled just to make them make sense, to tie in with the ending. Then Rachel Dean, my lovely illustrator, gets sent the finished manuscript. And there it says dedication to come, because I hadn't quite decided. You do see that inside there are the pages, and you get to go through. And by this stage, there shouldn't be too many things that need changing, but there might be just little bits. And so that's the last minute stage before it actually goes off to the printers. It still gives me a fantastic feeling holding my own book, and it's even better if you go into a bookshop and see it there on the shelves. I think it's quite difficult to give advice to aspiring writers. I would start off slightly bizarrely by saying read lots, not to copy anybody, but the more you read, the more you understand the way you want to write. You learn without really realizing you're doing it, about plotting, about character development, about language and how it's working for you. I don't think I've ever met another proper writer that isn't absolutely a huge bookworm. I do think the more you read, the more you feel inspired to write. I would suggest writing a little bit each day. Maybe it won't work for you. Some writers like to have months off and then suddenly write furiously for 2 months and complete a whole book. If that works for you, that's fine. There are different ways of doing it, but all it is about getting that novel written. I've lost count of the number of people that have said to me, oh, I'd love to write a book, but I can never seem to have the time. I wouldn't say just go for it and think you're immediately going to be a huge success, although how wonderful. You've got to hang on in there. You've got to keep an eye on what's popular now, but also you want to express what you want to express. Hopefully you'll get lucky. Good luck. Thank you for watching. To get your copy of The Best Sleepover in the World, just click below. And don't forget to subscribe to Penguin for more videos like this.